Hey everybody. So today was pretty productive as far as the market goes. A lot of stocks that we play with are actually up and continuing to move after hours. So we're going to get into a lot tonight. There'll be at least 30 ideas that we're going to go over. The majority of them are actionable. That's what we started doing with this. So if you don't see yours in here, it just means that I didn't even have enough people that asked about that name, or it's just simply not something that it requires an action at this time. That's just simply my opinion, obviously. As always, what we go over is extremely timely, and it's not really that great if you're looking at it a week later, which some people are doing, which is fine. Thank you. But you're better off staying on top of it when a new one comes out, because we do this daily. We also do a pre-market daily now live, and that seems to be a real big hit. So I'd recommend checking that out, usually around 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But click the subscribe button and click all notifications so you know when a new one of these comes out. Again, because it is timely, we go over key levels that help you plan, and also for the pre-market show, because it's not always at the same time, and that way you'll get a little reminder. So let's get to it here. So the very first one I want to get into is AMC. We talked about this forever, and let's just really get into what transpired here. So we're going to get rid of all these indicators, and we're just going to look at price. So these are all support and resistance lines. We ran to it the first time, right? We ran to it here. Second time I thought we would go. We didn't. I was stopped out here. Reverses, takes out this level, and we were talking about this 1454 level and how far back that 1454 goes, right? That 1454 goes all the way back to here, slicing through these. And candidly, if you draw it back all the way, oops, let's click off of that. Let's click right back on here. Okay, it keeps giving me that. That's not really what I want. That's what I have to do to it. My bad. So if you go all the way back with this, you can actually see, hold on, let me get to that level. You can actually see right here how this has been a key level for the stock, even as far as back here. So we got through that, and that was it. Boom, it was off to the races. And then we just started talking today, pre-market, about the next key levels. And I said that, you know, if we get above this level, you're going to the 20s. And I think that's where you're going. I think you're going up to this key level now, which is 2153. Let me draw that for you out, show you where that comes in at. Okay, it comes all the way in up here. Now, if you go out to the monthly, okay, you should be able to see this. You're right here. Now, if you start getting through that, this gets very interesting. I don't know if you do get through that or not, but if you do get through this, I mean, you really have very little resistance in here. Very little until 30 bucks, 30 and a half. So I don't know if that happens or not. This is a very big move in a short period of time. You know, again, this is not ups. So again, this is not a short squeeze, in my opinion. At this point, you know, I think there's only a day out there that's short. So I don't really see a reason to consider it that's why it's going. I think a lot of people are buying it, and, you know, based upon that, it's going up. So let's just see the difference in the moves. I mean, look, this is on the monthly. I mean, this is just really, really shaping up here. And I think it'll continue to. So just watch this as your key level. If you reject off this like last time, you know, this could come back fast, and just continue to watch it. So again, let's throw everything. What we're going to do is throw everything in alphabetical order over here. So everything will be in alphabetical order. And then there's a gentleman or one or two of them that actually do the timestamps. So the timestamps will be there. So you can go back and look at these videos over and over again in those key levels. It's extremely helpful. So ABCL, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. I mean, you could see what happened today, right? So that's good. Let's get rid of a couple things here that really aren't adding any value. The 5 and the 8 are really not adding any value. So we broke today, and we spiked on volume, and we didn't even fully spike on volume. So I'd be very careful with this, and that's really the reason that I wanted to cover it. A lower low wouldn't shake me out at this point. What would shake me out is breaking this rising wedge line. If you break this rising wedge line, you need to get out of it. You have rejected the 35.10 level here, bonk, here, tried here, tried here. It's not happening. So clearly there's an issue. And my recommendation is to simply watch this line. And if you break this line, I would be gone. AMD, I like it. I mean, I really do. I like it a lot. And, we have a lot here. Let's get rid of all these horizontal lines. And let me just show you. This is your trend line, right? And you had another one here that we broke. And since we broke that, we rolled. But let's really drill into what's going on here. So you had a little wedge right here, right? And you can draw this. Now that we're zoomed in, I can draw that a little bit better. Probably will play out better too. Yeah, it plays out perfectly that way, doesn't it? So you can see what's going on here, right? Today's the first day in 3 weeks that we're above the 21 day. It's really a nice move. NVIDIA's earnings are out tonight. They were actually good. The stock's essentially flat, and that's good for AMD. And the whole stocks market, and people say, well, why is flat good? Flat's good because it just moved 20% in 4 days and hardly gave anything back. That means that people that are in it, that are up, are not panicking on that report. And it was a great report, don't get me wrong. But I really didn't expect it to go through the roof on it. It could have, but it just didn't. But that's good for these stocks. We don't want to see irrational exuberance. What we want to see is we want to see consistent, controlled buying based upon fundamentals. And then use those fundamentals and trade technically. I mean, it's really, that's the game plan. So what's happening here is you're starting to peek your head up. I would expect this to get above the 50-day shortly, head back up, challenge this level, which will need to be challenged, right? And challenged up to here. So you're heading that way. I like this trade a lot, and I think this is setting up. It's just, you just need it to curl. I mean, this is when you buy AMD, right? You buy AMD when nobody wants it. When everybody wants it, it's a disaster. I don't like really buying stuff below the 200-day moving average, but sometimes these stocks have personalities, and that's how this one trades. ASO's textbook. I really like this, and I was really excited to see that somebody's still following, a couple people are still following. Let's just draw this here. So some of these names later. So like, it's really important that when we mention names, or when I mention names, you don't get rid of them because they don't work right away, right? You just kind of stay with them. And what that will do for you is it puts you in a position where you create a database or a screen for yourself of, oh, hey, these were ideas that Arete threw out. Let's take a look at them. And you go from there. So let's just look at this. 36.40. That's really your swing. Again, I gave a trade idea today where I said on Crocs, you don't have to wait for that. And, Crocs, I don't believe is in here, but I'd like to go over that trade just so people understand that trade. We did pre-market. You don't have to wait for this wick, okay? The probability is that if it breaks the wick, the probability of it going here is greater that it's going to go here. But if you're more adventurous, you can buy this here. Okay. And it's a very simple trade, right? Here you are at 35.25. If I close below this open, right, I need to get out. And I'm going to just kind of walk through why. You might want to see if it comes down to the 21 day. That's fine. You can do whatever you want to do. This is what I would do. Because I opened today and I had no sellers. And then I stayed up enough that I had no sellers. Now, if this reverses and the people that wanted to buy at this price all of a sudden disappear, well, that means I don't have support there. And if I don't have support there, then I have an issue. Now, for those that have been following along, remember this name? Okay. So I mentioned this on this name when this reversed. See how this reversed? We broke out. Right? We broke out here and then we reversed. And what happened? It's just been dead money ever since. Maybe it holds here and goes, but that's what I'm getting at. So if you see this break down, you want to get out of the way. And there's really no reason to wait until that level and then go from there. And you can see the volume that came in today. So it's above average volume. So if I can't hold the low on an above average green volume bar, why am I in the stock? I mean, it's really that simple. ATKR. So if you look at ATKR, I just wanted to go through this really quickly for the gentleman that was asking about it. I understand why and what you're looking at. This is the only thing that I would point out to you. So you have a
Market
resistance
data
here.
connection lost.
And let's get rid of the little English guy.
Market data connection reestablished.
So what I'm getting at here is this 50-day has to hold. Okay, you're finally trying to pop above it, but you got to get above this resistance too. Now, I would be very careful here. It's tried to stay above this line before and rejected, and it kind of is reverting to this. And I'm staying below these two, and they're still pointing down, right? Like this is not pointing up anymore. So this could go up. It could base. Just be very careful here. You don't have a definitive situation yet. BGFV. Look, I really like this name, and it was like, we did the top 10 this week on top 10 stocks to buy. Some of those names are actually crushing it from Saturday. This was like number 11 or 12, and I just didn't put it in. And I didn't put it in because just walk through it Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Saturday. This is what I was looking at, and I'm going, But this little turnaround of touching the support line and then breaking back through is exactly what you want to see. And you tested it here and you failed. And then look what you did today. And it's so important to understand this, right? Because this is basically kind of a screw bar, but not really, because what you're doing is you're opening on this wedge, right? So you're like, oh, we're not going to go. The head fake. And then you close down here and you're like, oh man, what do I own? And then, but you have this little wick here where it was rejected, right? So you did have buying at the end of the day. And then you have this. And now all of a sudden you have the difference between these two. You have a little gap. And that's all it took to get people into this name. They did not want to miss out. They thought they were going to be able to buy it cheaper, closer to this line where they were buying it previously, right? And now all of a sudden they can't. And they're like, oh, I got to pay up. And that's what they did. They paid up. So now I have this wedge. Now, what's really cool about this chart, right? You have a wedge here that you broke above. We talked about this. When you break these, they're parabolic. And that's exactly what happened here. This one went parabolic, right? And I think we had this in the newsletter. I don't remember. I know we traded it. But you have the parabolic move here where it went up 67% just in like 3-4 days on this move. And I think it's really important to understand that. Now, if you look a little longer term, okay, this is what you're looking at. So there's like, let me just do this on a monthly. It might be cleaner on a monthly, okay? So here's your monthly, okay? I mean, it's a big move for a month, but you're through this, right? You're through the 2004, 2005 levels. So it's not the end of the world here, right? So just keep that in mind. This is something that I would definitely consider to watch and take a look at. It definitely is. I just really like the action. I mean, and it's a big move for a month, but it really looks like it's going to continue. And look at the volume and how the volume's increasing again. The average volume starting to pick up. So this is telling you we're setting up for a move. Simple trade. You just need the higher high on the wick, and then you can give it a shot. You know, and then really you have to look at the day that you're trading it to find your stop position. You can't go any, you can't really wait for this. I mean, you can, but who wants to wait for 3 points or 10% loss? BNTX actually gave us, an opportunity here to buy it right on this line. Opened, went closed above it, and then just boom, back to 200. I mean, this is setting up for a move again. I can't believe I'm saying this, but when you see how tight you're getting in here, look how tight this is getting, and you keep banging on this door over and over and over again, and eventually it's just going to give. They're just, whoever's there, they're just going to take out whoever that seller is, because there's obviously a seller right there. I mean, this is where we opened that one day. It must be where the seller wanted to get out. This is where you're closing. This is the high. So someone has an offer there, right? And they're just, get me out at this price for whatever reason. But as tight as these bars are getting, see how these bars, like, really understand this, because this is an important concept. See how long these bars are? See how long they are here? Even here. Then they get tighter, and then what happens? It explodes. So they get longer, and the move gets longer. When they get tighter, that's when something happens, especially when you have a break like this. So this came back down, tested. It's looking to move again. You're looking to have another move here. So let's see what happens with it. I do like the name a lot. And, but I do think you're getting ready to move. And you are on the tail end of this. I just don't understand. Maybe it's a market political reason. I really don't understand, looking at this, why they have not been acquired by Visor. Maybe there's a legitimate reason for that, with the governments. I don't know, but I would just think at this point it would just be simpler for Visor to acquire them. So it doesn't seem like that's on the agenda. They probably would have done that already. So coin, let's just go over this. As everybody knows, I am short this, and I just want to clarify that so that you understand when you listen to me speak. If there's a bias, that's why. So really, this did exactly what I thought it would do today. Now, I've been shorting it in here and here. I actually shorted here. And then I added here, and I added yesterday, and I said I was adding when I got to 250. So I've been adding, and I'm basically at a full short position at this point. Now, what I like about this from the short side is that I failed the downward trend line, right? So I opened right on it.
Reestablished.
Right? And then I closed below it right on this support. So everything else was up and rosy today, and coin was up how much? It was actually down on the day, 17 basis points. So, and that's after upgrades saying that the stock is going to 371. You know, here's the thing about some of these investment brokerage houses. Please realize this. They underwrote $1 million or $1.5 billion in bonds. They have to come out and say you have to buy the stock or put a price target on the stock. As many people think that doesn't happen, it happens, and that's what they're doing. So we have yet to have 3 consecutive days for this to be up with higher highs, except here. Okay, so I would expect this to do exactly what it's going to do and to roll. So if it doesn't roll, my stop on it is over 250, this 250 level right here, 250.54. I will be gone. I'll close it out and take the loss. But from here, I think it's an excellent short. Just my opinion. I would not be going long this, not even by a little bit. So crowd's one that we've been talking about for a while, and I really like the idea. I think it's exceptional. And if you want to be in this space and you want to be in software, it's very clear that this is the leader. So the question is, what do you do now? I mean, you're really close to the top of this line now, 230. So there's 12 points there. You know, it's not really 10% anymore. So I would watch it. I wouldn't be chasing this. I would hope that it comes back down, tests, and goes from there. You are seeing the 50 point up and the 21 cut into it, which is exactly what you want to see, right? So maybe we come down and then go. Like, that would be awesome. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if we could see something like where you test the 21 and then you go, that would be great. I just don't know that we're going to see something like that. So we'll have to just play it by ear. But I'm not buying it up here. Down here was obviously better. Just the risk versus reward at this point. There's too many other good names, but that's acting exceptionally well, and I would definitely recommend looking at that on pullbacks. So this is CSIQ, and let's just run through this one. So the reason I have this is because I like the move it had today. So for this, since back here, right, you were up for 1 day over the 21, then here. So since April, this has not been above the 21 day, except for here, right? Tried here, failed. What did it do today? And that's why I have this in here, because today's action is significant. See how you came up, right? You broke out, tried, failed, and then you rode the line. Look at today's action. Today's action, right at the low, was your open, right at the high was your close. That's exactly what you want to see. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see. There's no ambiguity here. There was no price rejection here. What does that mean? That's as bullish as you can get for a bar. See how you have this wick here? That's price rejection, price rejection. So that's really important. So I would expect follow through tomorrow. Now, if you get follow through tomorrow and you get through these two averages, a lot of people are going to be paying attention to this name because it's going to click a lot of bells for them, right? There's a lot of levels for them. And I want to just point this out to people really quickly. So you closed essentially, and this is not perfectly drawn. You closed essentially right on that downward trend line, right? And we can clone this. So just FYI, you always clone your channels and then they fall where they may. You just use the stronger side. And they fall where they may because they have to have the same trajectory or it's not a true channel. But what you can see here is you're just setting up. So if I break through this, the target on a breakthrough of a falling wedge is the top of the wedge. That puts you at like $51. I do think this could happen, and I do think this could move. So let's just let's see how it goes. But I like this a lot. I really like that action, and that name. The move today was like this left no doubt, zero doubt that what it wants to do. It wants to go higher. And that's interesting because I've been looking at that whole space and they don't look that good, right? Like that's the solar space, right? I mean, it just, they just don't look that great. Like SED, it's just not as exciting when you start going through them. So keep that in mind. I really like that name. And out of the solar names, that looks the strongest. So I'm probably going to do another video solely on NFTs. I did one. And I think it's time to do an update. I'm going to just be honest. I love that space. I think that space is going to be trendy for about another year, and I don't think it's going to go away. I think you're going to keep that space. So just keep that in mind. So what I'm going to say here is relatively simple. In regards to this, you can just see how we're breaking out an unable, right? There's just a seller there, right? Wick. So someone above this level, I don't know why these are back this far. I don't know if they're weeklies. Let's just find out what's going on. Yep. So 25.25 is a level. Okay. We're at 25.64. I kind of like that. We've broken this downward trend line back here. We've never come back under it. So we're setting up to break. Now, if you break above some of these levels, like for example, you break above this 27.89 level, you're going to 31. If you break above 31, right? And you have from 31 on down to here, you're at 25 points, right? And you count the points, not the percentage on this. I'm trying to figure something like this out, right? So this has the potential to really move, like really move. So I would definitely have this on my radar, and I would definitely be paying attention to this one. I think that this whole NFT space, I really like the names in there. They did the head fake today, but they didn't break below, did they? But they're not holding these levels. And I know a lot of people that are building positions in these names, and I like them. I think they're great names. I think they're very interesting. It's a great way for someone that's in Ethereum that has a lot of money to put it in something else. And I think that people are going to take advantage of that. And I think artists are going to take advantage of it because it gets rid of the middleman. All of a sudden, the artist gets paid exactly for what they're doing, and they get a piece of the sale every single time. It's not a bad idea at all. It's just a question. It's in its infantile stages, so eventually these things will probably go bust and then rebuild. But just keep watching them because these charts look excellent from my perspective. But we have to get through this wick action. And this needs to clean itself up and give me something substantive because all I'm having are these wicks and rejection. So that's really not the time to buy it. It seems like the time to buy it is when it breaks the 21-day, and then you just add to it and wait for it to return and try to go back up. See how it keeps doing that? Every time you're below the 21-day, it's a buy. And every time we get up here, we get a wick and a reversal to the 21-day. So I would not be chasing this. I'd be waiting for an opportunity like I just walked through. So Fudu, I know people love the name. I felt what they did last time over here was beyond shady. So it makes me concerned about companies when they do stuff like that. The stock just miraculously ran itself up 30 points, and then they just happened to do a secondary. So it's kind of when I see things like that, it makes me question management and what else are they going to do? So I'm apprehensive about the name just because of that. And that happens to me, and I don't mind it, right? I've learned enough that if where there's smoke, there's fire. And sometimes you just see something else that'll come out. It's just like same thing with Peloton. Like I'm just absolutely floored that the stock is doing the way that it is, but I'm okay missing it. Just go to the next one. The question about what to do here is simple. Right? You need to close definitively above this 21-day. You have never made a higher high and stayed above it. So I personally am not touching this until it clears above this 160 downward trend line. Then I'll get involved. And that's probably too long for a lot of people. They probably don't want to wait for that. So you can look for a minor one. Now, you've broken this wedge here, and you're responding to that break, and you've done exceptional with that break. And that's fine. That if that's the trade that you want to do that trade. but that's not something that I'm really interested in. So let's just get rid of these for a moment. And you crossed back here, so you could have used that cross. It isn't respecting the 5 and the 8. And maybe what you can do is use, buy this on pullbacks. You don't buy this when this breaks out. That's usually when you get hit. So what I would be doing is, if I really wanted to be in this, I would be trading it like it trades, right? See what I'm talking about? See how it hit that 5-day today? And then that was the low. So I'd be looking for things like that to enter. Maybe off the 5-day. I would not be buying a huge green bar up. Every huge green bar up on this is usually met by disappointment, right? It usually just reverses after them. So I would just, here's the king of them. So I would just be very apprehensive. Even here, huge green bar up. What happens? We sell down more. Green, green, green. And I get it because Tiger earnings were great, so this followed through. But that's just the way that I would trade this. I'd be very apprehensive with the name. So, and I know their earnings were stellar, but I have several questions about them. But it's just an opinion. So let's just look at it technically. GME did exactly what we talked about pre-market, like exactly. So we talked about the 225 level and how important that level was going back right to here, 225. Okay, so what was the low of this? 225.55. I was off by 55 cents. Okay, so if you look at that. Okay, this is the trade today. This is the simplest trade in the world. Opens up, you don't chase it, forms this little wedge, right? And this is exactly how you trade it. It forms this wedge, breaks the wedge here, kind of looks like a morning star, doesn't it? This was your buy, okay? And then this was your stop, and that was your trade. Excuse me one second, I'm going to get a little coffee. But that was your trade. So you have to think about it like that, right? You have to think about how the heck am I getting in this when it moves like this? And that's how you do it. You set your levels ahead of time. I can't stress that enough. You may want to just write it down or remember it. If your levels are in, then when it hits the fan, you're ready to move. You're ready to go. And if you had your level set today on AMC, GME, you had a good day. You should have. That's why all my levels are always set before the day begins, and I leave them in. And if I need to get rid of junk, I'll get rid of junk. Like this was one time I recommended buying GME. I mean, that's in from March. That's not really relevant anymore. I mean, I can get rid of that, right? I mean, you have to learn what's relevant, what's not, and I guess that takes a little time. But, in regards to now that you're in this space, there's zero reason why this thing can't go and retest this next resistance line up here at 316. I mean, it's actually setting up for it. Frankly, I think that AMC's setting up for it as well, too. But these are not ones that I go home at night with, these at this point, because I just don't know what's going to happen, when they're going to halt them again, if they're going to halt them. There's a tremendous amount of uncertainty, and the option game is really hard here unless you're going to sell options and book the premium, and that's very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But from here, look, this takes out a higher high tomorrow. It's going to go again. I mean, it's that simple. It will go again if you take out a higher high. If it doesn't take out a higher high, become concerned. But I think that, you take out this 248 and you can get to 316. So just keep this on your list. Watch it. If it's something you want to trade, if it's something you want to completely avoid because you don't want to be involved with the nonsense, then avoid it. But, I do really believe that there's no reason for it not to continue again. So let's see what happens. So go. I like this name. I like this little move. I'm going to put this down here for a moment. So see how you have this wedge and you broke out today? Now we've left this line in, right? We left this line in before. And let's just get rid of the arrow because we really don't need it. It's kind of in the way. So you can see how we had this upper trend right here and how we flipped that trend. And now we're holding support in that trend. And that's where we opened, right on that line. Not only did we open on that line, we opened and went. So this is a very simple trade. Okay. I can't stress how simple this is. Takes out this high, right? That's probably your trigger. Okay. As long as the volume's there and the pattern's right and your low is this. If you're going to break where these two lines intersect and that low, which was the open, you do not want to be in it. Now, where can this go? This can go. This could really run. So what you have now, let's get rid of these indicators because we don't need them. It's very clear that they're positive now. What you're going to have, and there we go, that's perfect. And then just drop down. So you broke this trend line, right? So you already have that in effect. So by breaking this trend line, it means that you can get back to these levels. So you can get to 17 again. It can happen. I mean, you have price rejection all in here, but this is where you're at. I mean, this is the first thing that you have to start getting through. Where's that going to take me, right? Where does that take me? 14 and 3/8, right? 1438. So just watch it. I like that a lot. GRWG, you know, this looks really good. I wouldn't be surprised if you see this in the newsletter. I'll tell you what I like about it, how we rode the 21-day or the 200-day rather, and how the 21-day we finally got above. And you have this little wedge here. And you have a couple other things that are going on for it. So let's just go through them, right? So you have a wedge right here, but you have a couple other little ones. And you can see, remember where the 21 and the 50 are. I just want to get them out so you can see what transpired today. So I broke out of this after hitting and sitting on it today, right? Yesterday. And then I opened on it today and broke out above it. So this tells me that I have a shot at $48. To me, that's what it's telling me, which puts me right in line with the other downward trend line and puts me right in line with resistance. So I like this for a trade to get in it. I don't think the 50-day is going to be much of an issue. The 50-day wasn't an issue here. The 50-day wasn't an issue here. I don't see why it would be an issue now. So just consider that. I do like this trade. Jacobs Engineering. So let's just throw this in and go through this one. I do like this name. It's a slow mover, but it's just been chugging along, right? I mean, that's all it does. So this is a very simple idea. I mean, if this is something that you want to be in, and it is a much slower mover, but I mean, my gosh, since back here, you know, you have a double, triple. So, but what you really have to think about is you have this little morning star pattern here, right? And then that broke you down, took you to the mean, tried again, or evening star. The morning star kind of kicked you back up, back through it. So you really have this level here. So you can really wait for the 146 if you want. What I would say to you is if I really wanted to be in this, it doesn't have a lot of juice associated with it, right? So every single time that we're breaking below these 21s, right, and touching the 50, that's where you buy it. So when next time it does something like this, that's really where I would be looking at getting it. I mean, you could just see how many times it's done it here, here, here. You know, this time it got a little crazy here. You probably would have gotten stopped out here, frankly. But you can see how that happens, right? So that's what I would look. Look for a pattern with something like this. It's a lower beta name, but I like the action in it. MAC, this is curling and just looks like it's setting up to go higher. Again, it's not a huge name here, but you can just see how it's just going along. So let's just 1485 breaks out, boom, right? So look, we open as the low, right? So you can see where this is going. And then you just have this. So this got nothing but upside. I mean, you just have a lot of this nonsense in here. And yeah, you'll have some selling on it, but there's really no reason for this thing not to push. It could really push. So just keep that one in mind. I do like that trading idea. It looks like I have this here. Yep, MDB was one we went through before. The reason I put this one in here, you can see us clearly here, right? How you broke, then went above this line. We held major support. Now look, sitting right down there, right? We're right on that. You need to see what it does. Okay, you need to see what it does tomorrow. It's not ready for prime time yet. You need to get above all this stuff. You basically have I won't say it's a gravestone because you're not at the bottom, but it's darn close to it. But you need to see what it does. And that's why it's here. This can be actionable, but it really needs to get above that higher high, which looks like it'd be 300. NOI, I know people love the name and, you know, it's great. trying to figure out the right way to say this. I would be concerned about them being forthright with their books. I think we're going to see a lot more problems with some of these EV companies. Some are going to exist and they're going to do exceptionally well. Some are not. I just have trouble with believing what they're saying as far as orders and things. So I tend to avoid them, but I'll trade price. You just need to be careful with some of these names. So that said, see what's going on here? We're broken this wedge straight down. And where are we sitting? Right? We're sitting right at that 50 and 200 day. So you really can't do anything with this until you get above it. Now, if you just want to trade it or you want to be in this, you love the name, you have to get above the 200 and you have to close above them before you even think about it. And then your next resistance point is going to be right here, 43.13. So keep that in mind. There's a lot here that's just, there's a lot going on here. So you can get up to this level and yeah, you have a trade. I just think you're better off trading Tesla. I mean, it's so much cleaner and so much stronger if you want to be in the EV space. It's a much better trader. I mean, the days of this thing doubling are over if that's what you're trying to catch. Just, you don't come down, just FYI. I mean, for those that are newer to trading, you don't come down 53% and just reverse back up. It doesn't work that way. So it can grind itself up that way over time, over 6 months to a year, if that's what you're looking for. But if you're looking for like this bounce in a month, it's not going to happen. NNDM had a good day. BNGO, which is another one that we follow, had a good day. There's a conference going on right now. I think it's Oppenheimer, and apparently it went very well. So what you're going to do here, or what you're going to see here, is you're coming right to this level, right? Hitting that 21 day, hitting that 200, and then you're getting to that 50. You need to get through all this. So I would not be a buyer of this at this point until I get through the 50, this downward trend line, and that resistance point. I would not be touching this until I am through all of that. I just wouldn't. I don't think it makes sense. So in regards to that, you're really looking at $8. Get through $8, close above $8, and then I would take a look at it. Other than that, I would just avoid it until it does that. So NVIDIA did exactly, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like here it is after hours, right? We went right to that 1490 level. And again, this was, if you have your level set, okay, these are the easiest trades. Look at this. It goes through it, and that was it. Boom, came right back. Just snapped back, tried to get to it again, couldn't. Snap back. So it's really important to have these levels set. I can't stress it enough. Whether you're short-term trading or long-term trading, trying to find a way in, this is pretty clear that of the strength of moves like that. Now, you see how you're just riding this up? Let me just blow this up and pull this down. We'll just focus on this part for a moment. We'll get rid of the indicators. They're not really relevant. See how this upper trend is right here? Right? That's what you want to look for. If I can't get above this and I start to roll, become concerned. Right now, I'm just riding it. And I'll take a flat NVIDIA after that move. I'm fine with it. So the question is, what do you do now? It's really hard to buy this here because you have to get above this trend line, which you were unable to do here, and you were only able to stay above it two days over here. So it's not like it's a ringing endorsement that it's going to get above there and stay, right? So you're going to have to understand that you might be taking a loss if you try to play it. 648. And you have to watch these levels. I'm telling you, pay attention to when you see these upper channels. They're significant. And you also have to watch 648. And I'll give you another example of one that, you should watch. I mean, this did it today. Everyone's all over the CELH. Look, there's the channel. Can't get above it. Got above it. Can't close above it. Right? Now, maybe it does do it. Or maybe it does this and then comes all the way back down. So we don't have an answer yet. And this was not what you want to see on CELH. And so if you see something like that or these lines up here, like we did with NVIDIA, and we start to roll, you need to become concerned. So path I wanted to do, I drew all these lines before. This one we really don't need right now. This one's kind of already come to fruition. So let's just look at this. And let's get rid of this segment line because we really don't need it anymore. So you opened right above this wick, which is good because it means you're getting stronger and stronger. But this is really interesting. So let's get rid of all of these horizontal lines now and just look at this little pattern that's going on here. So, and I mean, I could draw that better. But what you're seeing is you're getting tighter and tighter, right? So this one was inside, this is inside again. So you have two inside bars. So this is a really simple pattern to understand, okay? If you're looking for a simple trade, and there is some resistance up there. Just FYI, there's a line here. Some people can argue that this is the line. So there is some stuff out there. There is some garbage you have to pay attention to above this. But this pattern's simple. If I get above this wick, right, which is the double inside pattern, which is here's this bar's inside this one, this bar's inside this one. If I get above that 86, there are people that will just play this trade all day long. They're looking for this. They're looking for double inside bars. And then when they see them, they just buy them. So getting above 86 will just propel this higher. It's just that simple. So if this you want to buy it, there's your trade. If you take out the low of this, you want to get out. If you break this, right, and it's more than an hour into trading and then it takes out the low of the day, you want to get out of it. So, and it has to be about an hour at least if you're trying to use a tighter stop. So that's one way to play that. There's several different ways, but that's the one that makes the most sense. Cues I was asked about. I mean, this is all the writing from the newsletter. The newsletter's free. There's a link in the bio and description. I'd recommend signing up for it if you want to, because in a week or two, I'm going to have to make some changes and how the data is dispersed, because we're getting busy. We're getting very busy with it, and I like it, and I'm grateful for it, but we're going to have to make some changes. So just so it stays relevant. I don't want to be putting something out there and then it's just not relevant, or that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's not what we're trying to do. So what you see happening here with the cues is exactly what we want, right? Hopefully we get this little handle coming down and then we go like this. Again, we don't want to do, what we don't want is this. I know everyone thinks they want this. You don't want that. What you want is something like this and then go. And the reason you want that is because when it does, I got to learn to double click. The reason is because when it does that, the move is way more forceful. So for you William O'Neill fans, one of his favorite trades was, let's say that you bought the breakout, right? Let's just say this is a breakout and you buy it. When it comes back down, right, and he gets stopped out. And then when it comes back down and cuts back up through, he increases the size of the position, because he knows that it's got a better chance of working. Not by much. I think he would say 10%. I'm not a complete study of his. I mean, I understand it, and there's definitely relevance to it, and it's good stuff to learn. But that was like one of his little things. But someone might not be able to explain that a little bit better than me. So, but it is important to understand that pattern. So Roku will be in the newsletter. I have to write it up and get it out there. It'll be out there tonight, most likely. I really like this action of day in, day out. Didn't really take out the low, and we're just cruising right above that 50-day. And we're just sitting there. I mean, I think we have a clean, the reason I put this in was I'm waiting for something that's not going to happen. I'm waiting for this pullback down to these levels, and I'm probably not going to see it. So I need to get in this. So that's what I'm going to do. And I really like this. I think that it's going to get tighter, and then you're just going to have a long green bar one day. The way this volume's just drying up at these levels means that you don't have any sellers. So this is Snap, and I really like Snap. I'm not crazy about today's action. I actually bought it and took a small loss today on it at the end of the day and just blew it out. I really don't like the fact that it rejected that downward trend line. That's not what I'm trying to own. And I understand that people look at that and go, wow, it's a 30-cent stop he used. It's not even a question of the stop. The question is where we closed. And this is exactly where we closed, right? Whereas if I draw this better, right, we're closing, you're closing right on the line. Okay, and I rejected everything above it. Well, if people are going to sell above this line, why do I want to be in it? So I like this name. My hope now is that we come back down, retest these levels, and then go higher. Kind of very similar to what I just said about Roku. I don't know if we're going to get it or not, or it's just going to go up on me, but you have to watch and you have to get above this line. Because if you get above this line and you stay above it, 64, then you're going to get to these 70s. Like this can really move. I just don't want to be in this at $61 and have it go down to this 56, 55 level and start thinking about what am I doing. So that's why. But I do like the name and I do think it's setting up. So this is no, and it looks like after hours. I put the after hours. It looks like we went right to support, major support here of the 215 line. You see how you have these lines in? I cannot stress enough to you the amount of money that I make by being set up properly. So, I mean, just look at this. Like, that's not a coincidence that this is the major support line and the stock goes right to it and stops and finds what? It finds support. Like, yes, it is that easy when you know how to draw these lines properly. So just look at that and keep that in mind, right? Now, I mean, just look at this. Someone could have bought this, predicated upon that, assigned a percentage of stop loss if it got below there, and here's your trade, and you're up 10 points after hours. And you can do those. If you know how to do them, you can do them all day long. So, well, during earnings season, you can do them all day long because of the volatility. What do you do with this? Nothing. I'm going to have this hammer tomorrow. I'm trapped under the 241 level. I would not buy this until it gets above 241. And I think we'll see what happens with it tomorrow. It's a possibility to put it on your radar. This name I really liked. I really like what I'm saying. And I didn't get a lot of people interested in this one, but I really like what I'm saying. So see how you're riding this little trend right here? Look at this. Right? Okay, and then up here, you have another one. But this is more significant. See this? So really what you want to do is get through that 29.43 level, okay? You can see the rotation. Hold on. Let's do it this way, right? You can see this right here and how we broke above it, fell, came back down, broke above it. But look how much tighter it got in here, right? Broke above that, hit it, broke above it, rejection, rejection. So what are we looking for here? See if we reject. We didn't reject. Right. So this is probably setting up. What I would use at this point is I would use 29.43. So 29.50, a close above there, and this could go. And where would it go to? Based upon breaking the downward trend line, this point becomes your target. So you'd be looking at a $35, $36 target price on a move through this. So I really like that move. Tiger, everyone should be very excited today. I did not buy it, but for all those that follow this and love the name, this is exactly what you need to see. It's the antithesis of what happened yesterday, right? Where I was like, look, you got to get out of this. And that's really what I was trying to stress. And obviously I was not right. So, today it came in and wow, just a great day. Now, this is what you want to see, these long green bars, these long volume, and it played out perfectly. You opened up, you came back down, made everyone like myself think that, oh, okay, it's dead. I'm going to avoid it and go on to the next one. And there were enough trades today that it's okay. It happens. It happens to the best of us. But see how you still have this downward trend line and people are going to go, here he goes. He's still not going to buy it. And you're right. I'm still not going to buy it. But I want to get above these levels, right? Once I get above these levels, I'm all in. You might actually see it in the newsletter. Maybe that'll be the top, right? But I really like waiting for this. I don't care about these 4 points. I'm looking for like 10, 15 points on moves, right? I want to make money. I mean, I do trade and I do short-term trades during the day because I can pull money out of the market. But the majority of, like, when I see stuff like this, like basing like this since March, right? You can actually argue that you've been basing even back to February. Break this downward trend line tomorrow. That'd be great. Get through this line tomorrow that you cannot close above. You've only closed above it once besides this run. That's what you want to see, right? And everyone remember this line. This is where you're at, 23.89. Bonk, bonk, bonk. You cannot close above this. If you get a close above this on the weekly, expect a move like this. I'll say it again. If you get above this 23.89 on the weekly and you have this move, expect to see a move like this again. Okay, you'll see real volume come into that name. And I do like the volume, and I'm glad that people are making money with it. I'm not chasing it. You know, it's like Plantar. Why would I chase that when I could just be in, you know, it's just so funny to me. Like, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but like everyone's all excited about Plantar, and it's up 10%, right? So we've been diversified in the single largest position since this level, and we're up 10%, right? So, I mean, it really depends on how you look at it and how you want to lever yourself. And understanding the nuances make all the difference in the world, especially in calculating your risk. So Tesla, I threw out there today. Again, people keep asking me this. Yes, I am working on a system to deliver stuff faster so that people can see exactly what I'm doing. I think I have a lot of the kinks worked out. Hopefully I'll be able to show more in like a week. Because I really want to show when I do the trade, why I do the trade, and what levels, everything, right? Because that's how you learn, repetition. So, and that's the goal of this, is not just to spoon feed you, but to get people to actually learn so they can do it on their own. So what you're seeing here is this trend and how you come down on this trend line. But today I saw a volume spike. And then what I did with the volume spike was I just put an outside options position on it. So here we are. Right? And I don't even need these, and I sure don't need this. So, right, you see this? Actually, I'm going to need this, but what we're going to have to do is open this up, and we're going to have to click 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to have to close you. So all I needed to see, wasn't even paying attention to this side of the bar. I was looking at this, and I saw this enormous volume spike. And if you really drill down into it, there we go. If you really drill down into it, you can even see it here on the 1 minute. Okay. So that's all I needed to see. And all I did was go out and find options that had a delta. So for people that want to play options, you can follow along with this. So all I wanted to do was find something that had a delta below 50 because I wanted the delta expansion, right? By getting the delta expansion, I wanted as much of it as I possibly can. Why? Because I'll show you why. Let's throw this 200 in. Look where I was, right? So I'm sitting right on this line and I'm like, this is about as good of a buy as you're going to get. So that means to me that when this moves, it could really move and push. That means that the delta is going to expand, which is exactly what I want. And it's exactly what it did. So what we do is, or what I did with it, and I don't look at the option symbol to trade. I look at the stock to trade. Everybody's different. You do whatever you want to do, but I'm not sitting there watching the option all day. I want to see the action in the stock because that's going to dictate how I'm going to move. But when I had this break, that was it. And then this was a very simple trade. I'm out of, I think, 75% of this trade now. But this was very simple for me. Right? This trade's up. You're watching it. You're watching these little patterns, okay? Here, okay? And that was pretty much it for me here. I'm like, tried to get, couldn't, okay. Got out of some of it, tried again, couldn't, okay, that's it. So, because I bought this week's options. I don't want to come into tomorrow. I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't know what earnings bring. I don't want to come in tomorrow and show up at 610 and lose them. So the ones that I bought, again, for those that want to follow along, and I think it's on Twitter as well, where I talked about it, was walking someone through it. I bought the ones that expired this week. I bought the 620s, and I paid $5 something for them, and you can see where I got out. I mean, you can just look at the pricing yourself and figure it out. Doesn't really make sense for me to talk about percentages. I'd rather just, or what I made. I'd rather just show you the trade so that you can learn. It's not about my ego. So, hold on. So UPST, let's talk about this. This is really kind of very important in understanding position building. So I was trying to be abundantly clear today that I was building a position. And we went over it this morning pre-market, right? I built a position in this. When this came down here and then all of a sudden, all the chatter, everyone stops asking me about it, I kind of laugh. I'm like, well, down here, everybody really was very, very quiet, right? There's some people that say, oh, I bought down here. Somebody did buy down here, but okay. But let's just stop pretending that we're heroes and we're buying falling knives. And you're watching it run up to here and you watch it reject, okay? So, and I would make the argument that someone that's buying this here is really just does not care about technical analysis. They're just looking at fundamentals and buying. And to me, that's scary. But I get it. People do that. They just look at the fundamentals and go, well, I loved it at 165. I got to love it at 80. I don't trade that way. But I understand it and I respect it. So when you got up to here and you reject it, that was simple. Okay. That's when I first buy. And I knew the next day I'm like, I could have problem, right? Because I don't know how much longer the second bar is going to be. Do you follow me? So I want a shorter red bar. That's what I wanted. Just like, and why do I want that? What happened here? Second short red bar. See what happened? So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the reversal pattern to start, right? If you look for patterns within stocks, you will find them, right? You just have to start looking and learn where to look. And when we got up to here last time and we had these two red bars, it went right back and tried to get out. It's trying that again. And so when you see the two small red bars like here and one gets smaller than the next, it means that your selling is drying up. And I just want to point out this again so that you understand what I'm saying. And we really don't need the lines in here, but I do want the volume. So let's get rid of this. And you just might want to pay attention to what I'm going to go over, because if you can spot this on your own, this is UPST. And let's come over with this because okay. So in other words, what I'm getting at is you see this long red bar, okay? Look at your volume. See how your volume's up? Okay. See this smaller red bar in length? Look how your volume is half of that. Okay. What happened the next day? Gap down. Everyone screams, I got to get out. I got to get out now. They don't have their lines drawn. They're not looking at that 105 level, which we were talking about for months, right? And they get out. And they puke it out. And who's sitting there waiting? Somebody that did technical analysis and some institution that wants to own it, and they get 50 points. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Here's a long red bar followed by a shorter red bar. Where's the volume? Volume's high. What's the next volume? Probably half of it. Okay. What happened that day? Rallied, tried to get to the high. All off that move just by clearing out the sellers, right? So you can see how identifying these moves is powerful. What happened the third day? Get to the top of this, right? Same level. Okay. This is smaller than that. What was the volume? Half of that. Okay. What happened today? Boom. So by identifying patterns and understanding this and what selling and volume actually mean can get you in a stock at a relatively cheaper price. And I built a position in this. Now, I threw something out there today and hopefully people understood what I was saying. I wasn't saying this move was over. I'm saying it's tired now. It could rest. When we got this 147.25, there's stuff up here, right? These people are still in here. This wasn't rejected. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're not rejected on this part of the red bar. You were rejected here and you filled. So you have people that bought in here. Now they want out. Okay. So that when you got into that and got above that level, that led me to believe. And also you moved 14 points. So that led me to believe, you're probably getting tired. And you might be tired for an hour. You might be tired for 2 minutes. But it's like, the RBLX trade today. We sell into strength, and no one asked me to go over that trade today, so I didn't go over it. But that's why you have these levels drawn, and you can see when we talked about it. Oops, I'm sorry. You could see when we talked about it, where to get out and what transpired on the 15-minute. So, I'll do the RBLX really quickly, just so you guys, because I can't believe no one asked about it, considering how well we did with it and what transpired today. So this is really simple. And it's funny. I bought this and traded it during the day, and I still have the initial position on. But it's funny. Someone was like trying to warn me that it was on Kramer. But look, when everyone starts wanting to buy these, it's time to go, right? This is where we bought. Okay. This is where we bought here, right? That's what we made at the high. right? At one point, we were up 17 points on this, 21%. I recommended yesterday trimming here, right? Where did we close? Right where the trim was. So we trimmed right around 20% or 18%, whatever. But now what are we dealing with tomorrow if you didn't trim, right? I can almost guarantee you that you break this tomorrow. I can't guarantee that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I can almost guarantee you that you're going to break that tomorrow. Why? Because it's half of, for those that studied the candlestick chart, and I'll link it on the back. You broke it, right? You got 2/3 of a evening star at the top of a trading range, right? And if you want me to get super technical on it, and I know these videos are starting to go longer, but I feel like we're learning stuff, which is what we're trying to do. What happened? Okay, so it didn't respect the trend. Is there another trend that it didn't respect that people aren't talking about? Didn't respect that one. Okay, what is that? What happens when they don't respect these levels? They revert to the mean. Where's the mean? The 21-day. I don't want to go for that ride. I don't know that it is going to the 21-day. You know, based upon the move and it not being out that long, it could go to the 8 or the 5. Doesn't mean that I want to be there for that, right? So I really think you have to watch this. You know, realistically, to me, this can go back to $84, $85 pretty darn fast and watch everybody panic. But we already got out on the strength. So we have a position in it, and that position should just be your cost if you want to stay in it. And if you don't want to stay in it, just blow it out if it takes out a lower low tomorrow. It's fine. You can always buy it back. So unless you're trading, you know, a name like this and you're trading like 100,000 shares, you can get right back in it without moving the stock, right? You can whip 10,000 shares of this around all day long. But you can't do it if you're trading much bigger size than that, right? If you're trading 10x that, you can't do it. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, people that are trading that size that are listening know that. But just you can see that level. I mean, it was clear as day. Well, it was to me anyway. But that's it. As always, please comment. I hope you found this educational. I tried to throw in more educational stuff tonight. I hope everyone had a great trading day. If you did not have a great trading day, I want to talk to you. Please email me at aretetrading.net. And as always, please subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications because what we go over here is important. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.